Monday's biggest news stories now with Camilla, Tominey and Gyles Brandreth. And welcome to both of you this morning. And we're going to start today with an incredibly sad story that when we were just coming home from Dancing on Ice last night and I saw the news online and it came as a complete shock. British entrepreneur and YouTube star Gyles Edwards has died at the age of 31. An incredible short-lived life. He seemed to fit so much in and seemed to touch so many other people's lives and did such incredible work. He was the founder of SB TV, which was an urban online music platform. It launched the careers of people like Dave, Ed Sheeran and Skepta. His mother, who we know very well here, Loose Women panellist Brenda Edwards, released a statement this morning. Our heart really goes out to you. She said, it is with deepest heartache that I confirm that my beautiful son, Gyles Edwards, passed away yesterday morning after a sudden illness. Myself, his sister, Tanish, and the rest of the family and friends are completely devastated. He was the centre of our world. And to lose anybody, but to lose somebody so young...
For a mum to have to post something like that.
Absolutely heartbreaking, 31. And he was a real innovator in the music scene. I think it suggested that, you know, Ed Sheeran might not be the star he is today without this young, inspirational chap. So just desperately, desperately sad for that family.
There's no sadness greater, I think, than losing your own child during your lifetime. It's not something that you expect to happen.
No.
It seems against nature. Yeah. Heartbreaking.
Well, our deepest sympathies and lots of love to Brenda and to Tanish and the whole family. And we're so desperately sorry.
Yeah, so sorry.
On to something else. This is... it was a surprise, but I suppose inevitable, because I can't remember which president it was that said, of a South American country, that COVID is like the rain. Eventually, we all get wet. And it now has touched the Queen. Queen has tested positive for COVID-19, confirmed that she'd been in direct contact with her eldest son, Prince of Wales, the week he had the virus. There are a number of cases reported at Windsor Castle.
Yes, and I think we were monitoring the situation last week with a view to whether she had caught it or not, and then that statement coming yesterday. Typically trooperish, though, Buckingham Palace stating that she's going to continue with light duties and that she's only suffering from mild cold-like symptoms. And actually, within hours of us hearing this news, she then released her warmest congratulations to the athletes in Beijing, the curlers. So she was still working then. And equally, we saw her last week and she didn't look particularly comfortable. She was on a walking stick and she said to those two military chiefs, you know, as you can see, I can't move. But then again, the next day, she had an online audience with a couple of ambassadors, I think from Finland and Jordan. So this epitomising of the keep calm and carry on mentality that is her trademark. But, you know, she's 95, so there's a big year ahead. I wrote a piece in the Telegraph today just saying, you know, we do have to make concessions for her advancing years. As Gyles will vouch, she is the first person who will say, I want to keep busy and I want to keep on looking at my red boxes daily and I don't need a day off. But she's got a jam-packed summer, hasn't she? And
those red boxes are very interesting. There was a picture of one in the photograph that was issued to mark the Platinum Jubilee. And in those boxes, every night, her secretary puts the papers to be dealt with the next day. And they include extraordinary things, not just messages from from around the Commonwealth, things for her to sign, but Parliament keeps in touch with her. There is a government whip who every day that Parliament is sitting, writes an amusing sketch of what's been going on in Parliament, actually saying so-and-so spoke rather well. The Prime Minister was looking a bit peaky. Leader of the Opposition on top form. That sort of letter is sent to the Queen, personally, handwritten, every day. And when I was a Lord Commissioner of the Treasury, I found I had to sign cheques with the Queen. Huge cheques. Any multi-billion-pound government expenditure is signed off by the Queen.
Are they like those big lottery cheques?
They're not.
I wish they were.
It's a small document like that. And when I signed one with the Queen, when there's multi-billion-pound ones, I said to her, you know, Your Majesty, the way the government insists on the two of us signing these huge cheques, I can't help wondering, Your Majesty, which of the two of us it is the government doesn't entirely trust.
What did she say?
She had no answer to that. She's very discreet. But the point is, light duties are actually going on all the time, and that's what keeps her going.
Well, we hope that the COVID that she has got, I mean, hopefully it'll be Omicron, and we know that, I think she said that she's vaccinated.
Yeah.
That it would appear for many people now, obviously not everybody, but for many people now, it is either incredibly mild or you don't even know you've got it, and that was the same with me.
God willing. And I had it around the same time. After you had it, I then got it for the second time. And look, I had a bad cold. Obviously, she's nearly 4 years off her 100th birthday because she's 96 in April. They'll be taking every precaution.
Yeah.
They have done anyway at Windsor Castle. She's been in this HMS bubble of just a tight-knit group of staff and not having very many people come in just to protect her health. As Gyles said, she prefers to be busy, so we just wish her well.
And one of her horses won a race yesterday.
Oh, yes, that
yes.
her up considerably.
Who needs a booster when you've got a horse winning a race?
And the other thing is she'll qualify for antivirals because she's of that age if she needs them. And as you say, she's fully vaxxed, so we just wish her well.
Yeah, we really do.
Absolutely.
And actually, she's paved the way quite nicely for Boris Johnson's announcement, which is very much today. He's expected to announce that this living with COVID plan, that people who test positive for COVID and their close contacts will no longer be required by law to self-isolate from Thursday. So this is very much taking it into your own hands, isn't it? By law, you don't have to do anything. It's whether responsibly, ethically, what you choose to do, it's up to you.
Well, I think, yes, she's the perfect example of learning to live with COVID. However, the idea that people who have COVID could circulate among the elderly will probably still worry people. I'm the first to say that I am desperate to go back to normal and to how life was pre-March 2020, but I'm wondering what conditions are going to be attached here. Are they suggesting that people with COVID are going to go into nursing homes, for instance, knowing that they have it? And equally, I think there's legitimate concerns about this taking away of free testing.
Well, will you know you've even got it if you can't get a test?
If tests like they are, I think, in places like Australia, $7.99, nearly 10 quid, who is going to regularly test? Who's going to be able to afford to do that? Are businesses going to be able to afford to give free tests to their employees? It's
This
a bit
is
of
the
a
big
minefield.
issue at the moment. It costs apparently $2 billion a month to provide these free tests. That's the issue. I think what we're going to hear later today is that for older people, free testing will continue, people over 18, so the Queen does become eligible. But maybe not for younger people. It's not got to, we can't keep going with it forever, can we? So this is really the bumpy flight path to a normal life, and it's to be welcomed. I think if you have it, you won't have to self-isolate as you were, but you're still going to be advised to stay at home if you can.
Okay.
The UK, I think, already experiencing even more storm conditions and flooding. There are quite scary pictures online about the flooding. Storm Franklin has come in a couple of days after Eunice, killed 3 people, left 1.4 million homes without power. And it's rolling in again. We're getting a bit of a battering.
Very much so. I think South Manchester's set to get a bit of a battering, and there's been some houses evacuated. This is Franklin. The next one coming down the line is Gladys. Who chooses these names?
They're marvellous names. And people send in ideas, don't they?
Well,
and every year
I think so.
they choose a new list. I think after Gladys, it's marvellous. I belong to the Heidi High generation. Hello, campers, it's Gladys. Ding, bing, ding, bong.
My nan was called Gladys.
Well, it's a generational name, isn't
Yeah.
it? People of a certain generation were called Gladys.
So they go in alphabetical order.
Yes,
Yes.
Herman is
There
going to
is
be
a-
next.
Oh, right.
Who's next?
Herman.
Herman.
And then Imani. So keep going, and I'm torn about these storms because I know, of course, terrible damage is done and people can lose their lives. But at the same time, if you're inside, it's quite exciting. And I've been quite
What
watching.
if a tree comes through your roof?
No, of course
Yeah.
not.
Or your
So I
power goes
withdraw. I
off.
don't want to be cancelled. I withdraw. But at the same time, secretly, it's rather like the old Chinese proverb that says, "There's no pleasure so great as watching a good friend fall off the roof."
Right.
There is something rather exciting about seeing a storm when you're safe.
I was actually blown over trying to batten down my garden furniture. And I was spent about an hour out there, like, getting cable ties because I wanted the covers on. And I just, like, looked up and I could see the rest of my family just laughing at me. But I wasn't going to be defeated. And I was being blown around
And
the
did you
garden.
protect the furniture? Was the furniture
It's
okay?
more or less intact. But it does
there you
show,
go.
like, the awesome power of nature. I mean, it's quite frightening, isn't it, when you're in the eye of it? Crumbs.
Yeah, we need them to go away now, though. 2 or 3's enough.
Should we talk about turning into our parents? Researchers have identified the top 20 signs that you are turning into your parents, such as nodding off on the sofa, repeating the same jokes and relying on your kids for tech support. About 2,000 adults found half believe that they are morphing into their own mum and dad, which happens on average at 32 and a half years of age, to be precise. I'm
That's the
definitely turning
alarming
into
bit.
my mum.
I mean, I've been repeating the same joke since I was 10. So there's nothing new there. But actually, I look like my father and even worse, my mother. Every morning I look into the mirror and I see first my father, and then as I turn away, I look back and I see my mother.
Isn't that quite nice, though?
Well, yes,
a way.
I suppose so, yes. And my mother lived to be 96, but it's a bit alarming when you're not 96 to look like 96, you know. But yes, so it is true. But I no longer fall asleep in front of the TV since I gave up drinking.
Oh, really?
Yes. Haven't fallen asleep once in front of the TV.
Did you used to fall asleep drunk?
I know, I used to doze off.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Well, I'm
It's quite nice, though, dozing
I'm
off in front
always
of the
asleep
telly.
in front of the... Like, my children mock me for this. Now, I don't drink, but something will go on, like, OK, 10 o'clock, 10:30. Within 10 minutes, I'm asleep.
Yeah, it's too late.
It's infuriating. I'm
I tell
missing
you what
huge portions
I am
of
doing
shows.
now that my dad did all his... He went round the house, always turning off the lights and saying something, about, we're not made of money. And I'm now doing that with my children.
Yeah.
They just leave the lights on.
You're
all
like the
time.
Queen, Gyles.
She turns
off lights.
And it's Windsor Castle. No wonder that she's exhausted.
And your house is only marginally smaller than that.
Indeed.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.